actually, so our internet is not good right now. Okay. On the Wi-Fi.
See you. You're watching, just give us a second here to get stabilized.
We have too many people on our Wi-Fi here right now, I think. Is that working better?
So let me just refresh. Yeah, looks good. Alrighty. So thank you everyone for joining us, and sorry we're a little bit late getting started today. You know how we're all losing track of days because we're holed up in our houses and have no routine, and unfortunately I got sidetracked today on a call and didn't realize somehow it became 1 o'clock before I knew it. So thank you for your patience and thanks for tuning in. And look how big these puppies are getting. So Quince's puppies, we're here with the Hollywood Dogs litter, who are here in the Lower Mainland, and they are now 17 days old. And thank you for joining in. And if you're online and you're live and you're watching, just comment in the comment section. Tell us where you're watching from and kind of who's online here. I can see a few of you. Hi, Wendy and Tessa, Suzanne, Sarah, Liz. Oh my goodness, these faces. So the puppies are definitely growing. I was saying yesterday on the live stream, Tracy, that hopefully they would be awake today. But this definitely does demonstrate, I think a lot of times when we've live streamed in the past, like with Cadence's litters, I would wait until they were awake. But by doing this at the same time every day, you guys actually get to get a glimpse of what it's really like to have a litter of puppies, which is they sleep probably 23 hours a day. So they're only awake for very brief little moments. They're doing a lot of growing, and growing requires a lot of sleep. So, you know, they wake up and they eat and nurse, but their periods of being awake are going to get longer and longer in the coming weeks. And so, as you've seen with the helicopter litter in Calgary, those guys are getting pretty active and busy and on the go, and they play really hard and then they crash really hard. So, I think we'll start to see more of that with these guys in the next few weeks as they start to kind of get going. But can we just comment for a minute on the two cute fuzzy little golden butts that are really demonstrating the difference in color between our puppies in this litter? So I think that was Winn-Dixie, just to you're right there, Tracy. That must be Winn-Dixie because she's so dark.
Yeah.
But and then is that Chloe?
Winn-Dixie and Marley are the two bums I'm showing. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can really see kind of the lighter coat and the darker coat there. So,
and 20 minutes ago, they were quite lively, to be honest. So I was thinking I might just take one or two out of the pen and see if I can get them a little bit active. But
a couple that are a little bit more awake right now that have been moving around. Like it looks like Marley's kind of awake there.
I think Winn-Dixie might.
And he's huge.
He is big.
Look at that big old belly, Marley. Come on now. How are you going to learn to walk with all that belly to pick up? So Bahar is asking if Minnie's met the puppies. So no, we typically don't. We keep kind of a gated community going when we've got puppies on the ground so that other dogs are not kind of coming in contact with them at this stage. And that's just simply because of their vulnerable little immune systems. And Minnie is still kind of going outside and coming and going, and as is Quince. But with Quince, they get some immunity from Quince's milk, etc. And so there's a lot more kind of connection and cohesiveness kind of between them and their mom than there would be with another dog. So we keep them separate at this stage. So hello, Teresa, and I am feeling better. Thank you so much. And hello, Kayla. So we're just going to, so at this stage, if you guys have any questions about these little guys, please feel free to ask. We'll try and answer them for you. But we're also going to Tracy was going to take one or two of them.
I'll see if I can.
out of the pen here. And Tracy's working solo, so she's going to manage.
Yeah, I actually had somebody come in, and so I'm going to see if we could have a helper grab maybe Scooby. He was moving around. We'll see if he wakes up a little bit here if we put him on the floor outside the pen.
So Gail's asking, do the Goldens require different coat care than the Labs? If they do, but typically as puppies, we often use a different kind of brush or comb with the Golden Retrievers than we do with the adult dogs, because their coats are, they're going to be pretty floofy for the next several weeks, but then when they start to lose kind of their puppy fluff, they actually have quite a light coat for the first 6 months to a year of their life. So they're very similar coat care for the first 6-8 months with a Golden Retriever as it is for a Labrador. And then as they start to, I think Quince is coming to
she usually gets them awake for us.
Yeah, she's like, I'll wake that puppy up, I'll give it a bath. Look at them getting up on their feet, though. They're definitely getting way more mobile than they were. So the coat care is very similar. And then as they approach kind of, the 10, 11, 12-month mark, we start to see really those tail feathers and feathers on the backs of their legs and kind of behind their ears really start to kind of fill out. And at that point, poor Scooby, he's like, Mom, stop moving.
I'm moving the camera away from the...
No problem.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
Poor puppy. He's like, Mom,
I don't need to be cleaned right now.
Yeah. So the coat care for the Goldens, it is definitely kind of more in terms of keeping them combed out and brushed out. And however, the one thing to bear in mind is that all of these guys are coming from working dog lines. Like our Golden Retrievers come from guide and service dog lines. So they don't typically, like if you look at Quince or Minnie, you don't see the really big, huge, full, fluffy coats and manes that you would tend to see in like show Goldens. Like we don't breed them for a lot of coat, and part of that is just for our clients to not have as much maintenance. As far as I know, it's not something that we select for, but it's just something that has kind of naturally happened because we focus on other criteria when we're breeding. So we're looking for really strong conformation in terms of like their, good hips and elbows and eyes and all those kinds of things. So we're focusing on different priorities, temperament traits, etc., as opposed to we really don't focus on their physical appearance as kind of a priority when we're selecting our breeding dogs. Whereas, if you were a Golden Retriever breeder, you might be focusing on trying to kind of build out the coat in your line, for example. So you might select dogs that have nicer coat as opposed to, we're selecting for, I don't know, hypothetically speaking, like high resilience or the ability to kind of handle stress in a working environment. So.
And these guys, so now these guys are starting to notice a little bit of like a different feel to surfaces. So I don't know if you notice when I took Scooby out here, he kind of gets off this blanket a little bit and it feels different, and so they stop. So it's kind of telling me they're noticing kind of a different feel to their environment.
Yeah. So Tracy, can you do me a favor and just move the camera just a little bit closer to the phone? Liz just commented it's hard to hear my voice when I'm talking, just so that you guys are getting a little bit of an insight into like our little bit of Bush League technology. So Facebook used to have the ability to invite different people into Facebook Lives, which is what we were planning to use for this. And instead, we've just MacGyvered things. So I simply phoned Tracy. And so with the different devices moved farther apart, it's harder for you guys to hear. Hopefully that's a little bit better. So hello, Penny. Thanks for joining us. And so these puppies, there's not, going back to the original question, there's not going to be a lot of different coat care. And the other myth, I think that I have experienced, I'm experiencing all three versions of it a little bit. So I've raised labs, and labs shed all the time, but not necessarily huge volumes, but they shed on a daily basis. So they're always dropping hair. And then the golden retrievers have a lot more coat, but they don't shed all the time. At least that's not been my experience with the half dozen patch dogs that I've had that are golden retrievers. So they tend to do a very, very heavy blowout of their coat twice a year. So once in the spring and then once in the fall. So they blow out their winter coat and then they blow out their summer coat. And then they go into kind of their winter coat tends to be a little bit heavier. So you see that, and during that period, it's like living in a hurricane because there's just dog hair everywhere, and the volume of hair that comes out of them, you're brushing them daily to really try and work that undercoat out that's kind of being released. So those are the two extremes. So you either have low volume all the time or you have high volume some of the time. And right now I'm looking after Benelli, who is one of our lab golden crosses. And I have never experienced anything like this in my entire life. It's like the volume of the Goldens with the frequency of the labs. Like, she'll come over and sit with me and I'll scratch her behind the ears, and then she gets up and walks away, and I can see an outline of her body on the floor. Now, in fairness, she probably is also blowing her spring coat right now, but her mom has reported that she does shed quite heavily year round. Maybe not quite this bad, but it's a little crazy because she doesn't look like she has a lot of coat. But the lab golden crosses, it seems that they unfortunately got the worst of both worlds instead of the best of both worlds. So, and Tessa is commenting, and that daily and huge volumes often here. And I think Dennis is a purebred lab. So, the labs I find, I never really felt like I got to a point where I had the shedding kind of under control or had a reprieve from it. So, and Teresa that's commenting has Swell, who is one of Cadence's puppies, and he's a lab golden cross. So she's saying it's the same right now. So yeah, it's very interesting. I think a lot of people are worried about Goldens, that they're going to be really, really high maintenance. And in my experience, if I give them a good brush out like once a week, they stay in really nice shape and their coats look really nice and they don't tend to get tangles and mats. I know some of our Goldens, we have to brush them a little bit more often if they have the longer feathers. I had one Golden that was prone to kind of getting little mats and things, and so I brushed her more often. Her coat was a little bit different. So you kind of have to look at them on an individual basis and determine what you need to do. What about Quince, Tracy? Is she one that needs a whole bunch of brushing? I don't remember her being that way.
I don't know if it has to do with her being a breeding dog, but I find that she loses a lot of her coat right after her litters. And then it's hard to tell because I did have, before Minnie, a half golden, half lab. And so I felt like I always saw hair around the house, but it's kind of hard to tell if it was coming from the Goldens or the other one. But I know she definitely, it depends a lot on her heats and when she has babies too, and it starts all coming out too.
Yeah, and that's very true. And I'll give you an example because I've seen Cadence through the whole process as a young puppy. She had very little coat. And then as she matured into an adult, she had what I would consider an average kind of golden coat. But once she started having her litters, like Tracy said, because of the hormone cycles that the females go through and the demands on their bodies from the puppies, etc., they often will blow out their coats quite heavily after their puppies are born, and look, not even really like Labradors, like more like, something like a Weimaraner or something like that has like a super short, really, really, really thin coat. And then it'll start to fill in again, in the months that follow. What's been interesting to see is, so Cadence was spayed just about a year ago now, and her coat now is insane. Like, it's beautiful. But she has far more coat than she ever had as a breeding dog. And I would just credit that to the fact that, her resources are going into her coat now instead of into feeding puppies, etc. So, yeah. And Jessica, I agree with you. It definitely varies. She's saying that Patch is a purebred lab and barely sheds ever. So, it's quite fascinating. So, yeah, different lines, we would probably see different things. So, if there's any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. And these, oh my gosh, who is the upside down sleepy puppy?
Who is this? Well, there's a couple, Nana and Chloe. That one's Chloe. And then Nana followed suit over here.
Oh my goodness, they're so cute. Oh my goodness.
We got them a little bit active for a while, but
yeah, so that's Chloe there. Oh my goodness. Well, if anybody has any last minute burning questions, feel free to post them in the comments. Oh my gosh, the bellies. I just want to smooch them. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We're going to be back tomorrow again from Calgary with the helicopter litter puppies. And those guys are on the go right now. They're very, very busy and active and sometimes even loud. So we will see what they are up to, and we'll be back here with Quince and her puppies on Friday. And everybody can kind of get a little bit of a sneak peek. And if anybody has any questions, now is your moment. Before we sign off, just post them in the comments. How old? Birdie, these guys are 17 days old now, so just over 2 weeks. So they're just starting to get moving around and playing with each other, etc. But they're still sleeping really heavily. So 23 plus hours a day at this point. They're snoozing, or just quietly kind of snuggling, moving around with each other. So I'm noticing a lot of the times when they're moving around, they're not even opening their eyes. They're just kind of shuffling from one puppy pile to another. So, but their eyes are indeed open at this point, as are their ears. So they're starting to experience new things. And Birdie, to answer your question, yes, most of these, all of these puppies are going into training to become service dogs. And it will be up to them whether or not they become service dogs at the end of the day. So we take a lot of pride in the fact that we let our puppies choose their paths. So some of them will be service dogs for one of our 4 program areas. Some of them may be VIP dogs for children with disabilities, and some of them again may choose to be a detection dog or a pet for somebody down the road. But really, we let them make those decisions as they go through training, and what they like and what they don't like and what they're good at. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and we appreciate you coming in and joining here with us each day. And I love all the comments about this is the best part of your day. I couldn't agree more. It's definitely the best part of my day. So I'm very, very happy to kind of join all of you, and hugely grateful to Tracy and family for sharing these guys with us each day. So thanks, Tracy, for your time.
We enjoy it too.
Alrighty. Okay, well, we're going to sign off now, but we will see you all tomorrow at 1:00 Pacific.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.